Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome students, welcome back to our course. I hope all of you are doing fine. As promised, I am going to discuss shear force and bending moment diagrams. We have already discussed part 1 of these, which was very basic aspect of shear force and bending moment diagrams. But in a long run that is not sustainable because we, as you remember, we have cut this section at several locations and then found out the shear force and bending moment at each point. But that is really not the way to go about it, but that is very good to start off, but in the long run we will not be able to sustain if there are any complex loading cases that are given. So I am here to give you part 2 and part 3 of the shear force and bending moment diagrams. In this lecture I will discuss with you how to draw shear force and bending moment diagrams just by looking at the loads that are given. So in a very short amount of time you will be able to draw the shear force and bending moment diagram of any beam with any kind of loading given to you. Using this, you can apply this concept in the next part of the video that I will release separately. Using this, you will be able to draw the shear force and bending moment diagrams of various complex loading cases using the shear and moment functions. So we will look at it in the next chapter, but right now let me start with the shortcuts. I can say just look at the figure, look at the loading conditions and identify the shear force and bending moment diagrams. So remember students, why are we doing, again a quick reminder of why we are actually finding out shear force and bending moments is we as engineers, civil engineers, mechanical engineers, we are interested to know what will be the deflected shape. So if there is a beam and there is a loading coming on that beam, I want to know as an engineer, because I am the one who is designing it, I want to know how is this beam going to behave, where will it deflect, which part of the beam will be sagging, which part of the beam will be hogging, how will the deflected shape look like under the given loading conditions. So that is of utmost importance to all the engineers, because all the design are based on that. So as a civil engineer, I will be interested to know where is the maximum bending moment coming on the beam and what are the critical locations on the beam to identify what will be the deflected shape of the beam in question. So now let me start the chapter, students. So let me project it on your screens now. So shear force and bending moment diagrams. Let us start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So just a quick reminder of what we have already discussed, the various different kinds of loading. So we all know that we have we have various different types of load. For example, we have a concentrated load, which is also called as a point load. Then we have a distributed load, which is equally distributed over a length. Let's say this is a distributed load W acting over this length of the beam L. So I can convert this point uniformly distributed load into a point load by saying WL. We all know that when we have done this previously. Next, the other ways of applied load, there can also be a concentrated moment acting on a beam. So this is a concentrated moment. So not necessarily every time it's a force, a point load, or a uniformly distributed load, or a uniformly varying load, as we have seen in the last classes. They can also be concentrated moment. So at that particular point M, at that particular point, whatever point A or B, there is a moment M, there is a concentrated moment M acting at point A. So those are the loading conditions possible, as we have already discussed. And then again, we know the various different types of support conditions that we have in the beams. So first one is a pin support, where we'll have two support reactions, one in the vertical direction, other one in the horizontal direction, because the moments are restricted because of a pin connection. In a pin connection, the horizontal moment and the vertical moments are restricted. That means there will be reactions. So anything that you restrict will develop a reaction. So for example, in a roller support, this beam can rotate, can move in the x direction, so there will be no reaction in the x direction because we are not constraining it, we are not restricting it. But in the y direction, we are constraining this. It is not allowed for this beam to move in the y direction, and hence it will have a reaction. It will also have a moment, but let's not discuss that right now. It's a discussion for a later part. Now, fixed support will, as we know, we have 3 reactions. So, horizontal, vertical, and moment. So, those are the different types of reactions and the different types of loadings which we have already discussed previously. Now, we have already discussed in the last class, this was the previous example in the last class that we have discussed. So, what we did in this part was we divided our entire beam into various different points: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So, we divided this into 10 parts, and at each part we found out shear and moment, And then what we did was we plotted all these points on the map, on the graph of shear force on the x-axis, shear force on the y-axis, and x, the distance, on the x-axis. In the same way, we have also plotted the moments. We have also plotted the moments on the y-axis and distance on the x-axis, and hence finally we were able to develop this shear force diagram and bending moment diagram for this particular beam in question. But students, remember, this is easy, not difficult to do, yes, but it is a long process, and we should understand that it is not always possible to cut the beam at several locations and find out at each point and then develop a diagram out of it. So, that is really not always possible. So, we have developed something called shear force and bending moment functions. So, in the last class, for some of you, we have seen functions, how to develop them, and I will discuss with you again this one in part 3 of my lecture series of shear force and bending moment. So, we will see how to develop these functions and how to use the shortcuts to predict the deformed shape of of any given beam and any given loading condition. So, let me project this on your screen again. So, this is the part. So, shear force and bending moment functions, this is what I was writing, but I think it was not visible on your screens. So, we have developed shear force and bending moment functions for solving it and to make it easy. So, we will see that in the next part. Now, let us continue. So, this part is finished, and now you understand that we have done this, but you know why it's not sustainable and why we need to develop other ways of quickly finding out the shear force and moment functions, because this is really lengthy and we need something quicker, so to predict the shape. But you should understand, students, before we move on to the drawing the shear force and bending moment diagrams, you should understand that the applied load W, shear force V, and bending moment M, all these criteria are dependent on each other. All of these 3 are dependent. So, load and shear force are dependent. So, what is the relationship between force and moment, shear force and the applied load? This is the relation. Derivative of shear force will give you negative of the load function. That means slope of shear diagram at each point is equal to the negative of distributed load intensity at each point. So, this is a good way of checking whether your answers are correct or not. I will show you how when I am doing example problems. Now again, in the same way, shear force and bending moments are also related to each other. So you see, d by dx of moment will give you shear force. So if you derive the moment, you will get the shear force. So slope of moment diagram at each point. So what is bending moment? Slope of moment diagram at each point will give you shear. So if you draw the bending moment diagram, and let's say this is a bending moment diagram, and if you find out slope at any point, this will give you the shear force. And if you find out slope at any point on the shear force diagram, it will give you the negative intensity of loading. That's what it means. I will explain to you with using other examples in the next few slides, students. So on the other way, so as you see here, we have put two directional arrows. So that means these are related in both ways. So the other way of writing this, if you want to find out the change in shear, you will have to integrate. So integral of negative load function. So all you are doing is just sending d by dx on that side, it will become integral. And how do you read this? It is change in shear is equal to negative area under distributed loading. So you can find out the area under the load, it will give you the shear force. Again, in the same way, if you want to find out the change in moment, you can find out the area under the shear diagram. So if you find out the area under the shear diagram, it will give you the change in moment. So what does that mean? This is the shear diagram. If you find out what is the area under this, it will be nothing but your change in moment. So we will see some of it, how to do all this. So basically I want to tell you that the applied load, shear force and moment, all these three entities are dependent on each other. Simply put, you can say that there is a load function, and if you take a derivative of the shear force, you will get the load function. If you take the derivative of moment function, you will get the shear. So all these are related to each other. We will see the other aspects here. I have just discussed this with you, area under the loading diagram and the derivatives. So now let us come, that is the theoretical part of the relationship between shear force and bending moment. Now how do you convert that into drawing these diagrams in a short time? So this is something, these are some of the relationships that I have listed down together. This is for together for all of these. So for example, the first one, this is for, let's say this is the loading condition, this is the shear force diagram. How will it look like? What does it mean? Suppose if you have no load in the given loading condition, that means you should draw a zero shear or a rectangle. I will show you a few examples, then you will understand better. If you have a point load given in the beam, so it will translate into a vertical line when you draw the shear force diagram. Remember, so if you have a rectangular loading, that means if you have a uniformly distributed loading, the shear force diagram will have a triangle. And if you have a triangle in a given loading condition, yani UVL, uniformly varying load, if you have a uniformly varying load, you will have a 2-degree parabola as your shear force diagram. So I will explain this to you using the examples. And next, this table belongs to bending moment. This will depend on shear force diagram. Let me write SFD, this is SFD. So if your shear force diagram is a concentrated couple, then your bending moment will have so this is bending moment. All right. So if you have a concentrated couple in as your shear force diagram, it will translate to a vertical line in bending moment. If you have a rectangle in shear force diagram, it will translate to a triangle in bending moment diagram. If you have a triangle in the shear force diagram, it will translate to a 2-degree parabola in as a bending moment diagram. If you have a 2-degree parabola as shear force diagram, it translates to having a 3-degree parabola in the bending moment diagram. So this is all shortcuts that you will remember. So just a pictorial representation of what I just said. For example, if you have a point load here, then it will have, so let us look at this point. If you have a point load, you will have a vertical line in shear force. So let's see, you have a point load, then you will have a vertical line at this part. So constant, linear, these are the relationship that you will have to remember, student. This will be really very helpful for you if you remember all of these. So how to draw this, I will explain you. I have already put some examples in the next slides, so I don't want to do here again. So here at this part, if you can look at it. If you have a rectangle, and if you have a rectangle in shear force diagram, let us see what is the rule. If you have a rectangle in shear force diagram, it should translate into a triangle. So that is why this rectangle is being translated into a triangle. So if the load is, this is the triangle, again because there is another rectangle with falling, so falling rectangle will give you a falling triangle. So next, if you have uniformly distributed load in your loading condition, so if you have in a loading condition you have a uniformly distributed load, then that translates to a triangle in shear force diagram. So that's exactly why we are having this triangle. So uniformly distributed load, falling load, so falling triangle, and until it reaches this point. And then if there is a triangle in your shear force diagram, so if there is a triangle in your shear force diagram, you're supposed to have a 2-degree parabola. So that is why you are having a parabola here, parabolic. So this is load, shear force and bending moment. So have a look at these, students, and then let us discuss this individually as well. So let me discuss individually each of these points. So just a quick recap. If you are discussing only about shear force, so if you have no load, you have to put 0 shear or a rectangle. If you have a point load, you'll have to put a vertical line. If you have a uniformly distributed load, you'll have to put a triangle. So if you have a triangle, you'll put a 2-degree parabola. So let us see. I have to save time, I have already drawn a few questions here. So we will together draw the shear forces for all of these cases. So one important thing that all of us should know, that it is always lazim to draw all the shear forces bending moment diagram right below the beam, so that we get an idea of what is happening throughout the length of the beam. So I will extend these lines and I want to draw the shear force and bending moment diagrams at this point, right below the beam. Alright, now let me see how to draw these. Now there is a load acting W, and because of this load there will be two reactions, reaction at part A and reaction at part B. So let us see how to draw the shear force diagram. for this kind of beam. So you see there is a point load. RA is a point load, right, acting upwards. This is a point load. So if you have a point load, you will draw a vertical line. So what I will do is I will draw a vertical line going upwards. How much? RA, that is the magnitude that it will go up. Now next part, between RA and W there is no load. Look at this part, students. There is no load between RA and W. So what happens when there is no load? So when there is no load, you will have zero shear or a rectangle. So zero shear or a rectangle, that means you will draw a straight line since there is no load. So you will make this into a rectangle here, zero shear. And next, at this point now, at W, again there is a point load. So there is a point load, that means it should translate into a vertical line. So this will go down because it is more than RA, it will go down this line. So this is W going down because there is a point load, and again between W and RB there is no load. So again no load means zero shear or a rectangle. I will draw it like this. And then finally again there is a reaction B, RB. That means it is a point load. So point load should translate to a vertical line. So again it will come back to 0. So this is a shear force diagram for this particular beam, students. So it's always a good idea to complete the cycle using the end. At the reaction it will come back to the normal position, come back to the x-axis as 0. So that is a good way of checking what you have done is right or wrong. So this is positive, this is negative. So now let us look at the second part. There is a cantilever beam and with a load given, that is W. Because of this W there is going to be a reaction force. Here there is going to be a moment as well, but since I am drawing only shear force, I am not considering that. So you have a load W acting downwards and there is a reaction RA acting upwards. So let us start from here. Since there is a reaction RA upwards, so yani that is a point load. So point load means a vertical line. So this will go up by RA, and then from this point to this point there is no load. From this point to this point there is no load. That means no load condition, zero shear or rectangle. So you will make this into a rectangle at this part, and then there is a point load W acting downwards. So there is a point load, so there should be a vertical line acting downwards. Again a good check that is coming back to the axis. So this is your shear force diagram for this. Now next part, next question. You have a plane beam and both of these are having concentrated couple moments. So let us see, basically if I want to have reactions at this point, there will be no reactions on both of the sides. So shear force, if there are no reactions, there is no point of having a moment. There is no condition given as you see here. Remember students, this is loading condition, this is the shear force diagram. So since there is no point load or anything, there is no load. So there is no point of there is no mention of moments, only the loads. So here, since there is no load, the shear force will be just a blank, nothing. There is no shear force diagram for this part. Now if you look at the other side, there is a concentrated moment M acting at the center, and the total length of the beam is L, and if this beam is having this beam will now have reactions, which is one is minus m by L, other one is plus m by L. So in this case you will have a shear force diagram. So this is minus m by L, so it is like pointing downwards. So if there is a point load, there will be a vertical line. So if the point load is acting downwards, the vertical load will be acting downwards as well. And then from this part to this part there is no load, so there is no reaction, and then continue no load, yani zero shear or rectangle, you will draw this, and then finally there is a point load again, there is a point load to make it go back to the vertical line, going back to 0. This is negative. So these are a few examples to explain you these 2 points, and in the next slides I will discuss the other 2 points. So let me show this on your screens now. So let me quickly draw lines first. Sorry. Now let us draw shear force diagram. Okay, let me first draw these lines. Yeah. So now we have a uniformly distributed load acting downwards, and because of that we have 2 reactions. So first let us start from the left hand side. We have a point load. So for a point load we will have a vertical line. So for our point load we will have a vertical line. Let's say this is RA and RB, 2 reactions. So this is RA, and then this load if I can draw like this, which you normally see in your textbooks. So this is how it looks. So it is pointing downwards. That means falling load. So if you have a load, so if you have a rectangle, yani uniformly distributed load, you are supposed to draw a triangle for that. So first of all there is a point load, you have gone up, and then there are other rectangular UDL, uniformly distributed load, so that's going to be a triangle for this. So there falling load, the load is falling, so the triangle will also be falling load, falling triangle till this part, until reaction B, again a point load here. So point load will make it into a vertical line going back, and this is RB. So this is a good way to check your diagram, students. So some of you may think that the triangle, falling triangle will be like this, because it's a uniformly distributed load, it should be a triangle. And somebody may ask, why not this triangle, and why is the triangle cutting this beam at this part? So the reason is this. So when you come down here, there is another point load at reaction B, then it will come back to 0. So it is not like this, it is actually in this direction, in this way, and it will come back to the normal position. So that's how the shear force diagram of this particular beam is. I hope this is clear. And the next part now, next there is a uniformly distributed load on a cantilever beam. So on a cantilever beam, obviously there will be a reaction. So if there is a point load acting upwards, there will be a vertical line. So I will draw a vertical line here, and then we have a falling rectangle. So we will see a falling triangle. Now since there is no support at that point, the falling triangle will actually end at that point. That is the difference between these two. Here in this case, students, we had another point load, so it has to come back to 0 at the supports. So that is the reason why that is a way you can guess if your answer is right or wrong. So there is a point load, it goes up, and since there is a uniformly distributed load and there is no other point load in the other direction, so from this point to this point it has to become 0, a triangular load. So if there is a UDL, it is going to be a triangle, and hence that's how we have drawn it. Next, triangular load. Now in the loading condition there is a triangle. So again, this is a loading, this is shear force diagram. So if you have a falling triangle in your loading condition, you see from here to this part it is increasing triangle, and this is the decreasing triangle. Remember that. So triangle, if there is a triangle in the loading condition, you will have a 2-degree parabola. So yes, obviously we will not be able to exactly draw the curve equation. We can use graph. You can use the various softwares to draw the graphs for this, because it will be very tiresome to draw so many graphs. But if you just input the equation from the moment functions, there are many softwares that can draw the graphs for you. So for you, what you should know manually, how to predict the deformed shape. That is my idea for you, that you should know. So again, there is a point load first of all at this point. So this point load, that means go up, point load, vertical line will be mentioned. Next, for a triangle, this is a falling parabola. Since the loads are falling, 1 minute. So this is going to be a falling parabola here, and from this part to this part also a parabola, and again there is a reaction point load, so it will go back to the normal position. Because of this, a vertical line, it will become 0 again. So if there is a triangle, it will have a 2-degree parabola. Now for this one cantilever beam and triangular loading, there is a point load, so yes, you will go up, and then there is a triangular load and there is no other support reaction at the end. So if there is a triangular load, then you will have a 2-degree parabola given. So the rule is this, students, if parabola, you can either draw it in concave or a convex. So you can either draw the parabola in this way, or you can draw the parabola in this way. So concave or convex, I have listed down here to save time. So if you have such a case, where there is a cantilever beam and the maximum load acts at the support, then the equation for that parabola is y is equal to mx square. You must have studied this, equations of parabola, in your mathematics courses. So it will have a concave curve. So such is the condition here that we have right now, and there is no other support in this condition. So here I will draw, so here I will draw a parabola which is in this shape, concave, because this kinds of triangles will have y is equal to mx square equation. Why is that? If you look at the if I draw this triangle here, and if you cut the section, at this part, then you will get a straight triangle again. If you cut the section, you will get a straight triangle. That's how you can say that it will have again y is equal to mx square kind of a parabola, which is concave. On the other hand, if your loading condition is in this form, opposite, everything is same, just at the fixed support you have the edge of the load, not the maximum load. So what if I have such a beam? For example, let me draw here. So if this is the beam and I cut the section at this part and I take this part, you see it is no longer a triangle. It is not a triangle. So this equation will have y is equal to r minus mx square. This equation for this kind of loading condition will be y is equal to r minus mx square. So for this loading you will have concave type of curve. Convex and concave, that is the difference. So if I give you this, then your bending shear force diagram will be a point load there and this form, not from concave. So this is concave, this is convex. So I hope this part is clear to you, students. So this is about this is how we should draw the various different forms of shear forces. So I will stop here because the video is getting lengthy. I will stop here and I will do the bending moment separately. So I will continue this part again in the next chapter as a bending moment. So we will see similarly how we can draw the bending moment diagram for all these cases. So in here, in this condition, students, we have looked at the loading condition. As you see here, we have seen the loading condition, and based on that we have drawn the shear force diagram. But when it comes to bending moment, students, you will have to look at the shear force and draw your bending moment diagram. So we will look at it in the next chapter. I will stop the recording of this one here so that we keep the videos short. So thank you so much. Hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.